Hola, buenas tardes. Coming to you again from Playa Lucia, beautiful Lucia Beach Villas, here in Yabucoa, Puerto Rico, and with the Day 5 update. I called today Cafe Miercoles, which is Coffee Wednesday, because we planned to go to two coffee haciendas today. And today has been the most fantastic day so far. We took off from the house earlier than normal. We were going to try to go to the caves, Rio Camoy Caves, and so it took about 2 hours to go up the east side of the island, then across the north side, and then down to the caves. By the time we got to the caves, there wasn't enough time for us to take the tour of the caves and still be able to make the other two tours that we wanted to do that day. So we just looked around briefly and then continued our journey on. And the first place we went was Hacienda Buena Vista, and it is outside of Ponce, and we had to travel down through the center of the island, which is a very mountainous region, and so a lot of curves as we went down, so we had kind of enjoyed going down the road. Then we arrived at Hacienda Buena Vista, and what it is a traditional, or I guess it's a conservation, a trust of a coffee plantation from the 1850s, and they still produce the coffee beans in the same way that they did back in the 1850s. And so we got to tour that area, and it started with a tour first of the housing that they stayed at, the barracks for the slaves, and then we went on to a tour of the forest. There's a beautiful rainforest, mountainous type forest, and alongside of it was a canal, and they built this canal to get the water from one of the mountain rivers, and they flowed it all the way down to the plantation itself. And when you get down to the plantation, they had two machines powered by this canal and this water. The first was the coffee machine, which would take the pulp off of the coffee bean so that they could dry it and everything else and produce the coffee. And it was run by a huge water wheel. And so they turned the water wheel, the water flowed in, and this wheel started to move real slow. Up top they had kind of a flywheel set up, which would take the centrifugal force of the water wheel, and it had a weighted flywheel which would spin and keep that momentum going. And I mean, shortly that coffee machine just erupted, with the shaking and the turning, and so they could do all the coffee things, and it was just absolutely fascinating how the machine worked and how they powered it. We then went on, they had a flour mill, and at the flour mill they had a similar setup, except this was hydraulic. And what happened is the water would flow, and they flowed it down a 25-foot tube, and that distance created enough pressure. They had like a paddle at the end with water jets, and as that water